All right, well, it's 6:01. I know we've got a couple of more people who might be joining. I'm getting requests to join as we're getting on here. So I'll probably keep having to admit people, but appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on and join our little open house here tonight, really just to kick off this second semester. What a crazy year it's been, and I think our goal tonight is make sure you've got what you need to know to help your students be successful as we kick off this second semester as we start remotely. So got a little presentation we're going to go through here, but before we do, I just want to introduce a couple of folks that are going to be helping present and share some information with you guys. So first off, I'm Ben Darden, principal at Sagewood. And then I've got two of my other administrators on. So I've got Dr. Christine Funk. She is our seventh grade administrator, and then our Mountain Lion administrator. And then I've also got Lyanna Finn, who is our Bobcat and our eighth grade administrator. Apologize for the dings. It keeps dinging as everyone joins. And then we've also got our full counseling team as well. So I've got Renee Colley, our sixth grade counselor. I've got Suzette Remy, our seventh grade counselor. Janelle Winders, our eighth grade counselor. I've got Dennis Vega, our eighth grade. I always mix up Dennis and eighth grade counselor and Bobcat counselor. And then we've got Andrea Christensen, who is our Mountain Lion and seventh grade counselor as well. So got our full team here who are hopefully going to be able to give you what you need and answer questions for you. So with that, we'll kind of jump in here and start going through our presentation. So really our intention tonight is to give you an opportunity to give us some feedback kind of on how remote learning is going so far. And I know we had those 3 weeks before winter break, and now we've got another probably 3 weeks-ish coming back here this second semester. Hopefully that's all it is. We should know more after the board meeting tomorrow night as far as what the exact timeline will be as far as when we'll be coming back to hybrid. And then giving you some information as far as resources and some data to help your students. If you joined us for the last open house that last week, I think, or the week before the last week before fall break, a lot of this is similar information. So if you've got questions and you were there for that, feel free to maybe tune us out for a little bit, and then you can jump back on, ask questions if you have something. So with that, I'm going to go over a little bit of our schedule, which has changed a little bit for this second semester. I think one of the things we realized with the 3 weeks that we had remote learning for last semester was having 5, full days of online every day was pretty intense, and so it was good structure for our kids. But I also we heard a lot of feedback of just it's a lot to manage in terms of being on the computer all day, every day, and so. As you see here, we've changed our schedule just a little bit for this first part of the second semester. As long as we're going to be in remote learning, this is what our schedule will be. So Monday and Tuesday and Thursday, we'll be following the schedule that we have pictured right here. So we're still starting at 7:25. I apologize, Patty. We're going to post all this, and we have this schedule that we've sent out and blasted out to our parents. I know some of this may be a little small to read here, but it should be hopefully easier as we get on. So the schedule will be 7:25 to 2:40, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So kids will follow all their schedules. We've changed the times just a little bit so that there's 5 minutes between passing periods as opposed to just the 3 minutes. I think that was one of the feedbacks we got, as well as far as giving a little bit more time. Kids are just stuck in front of their computer all day, so give them a little bit more time to get up, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, get a snack, whatever it is. So that'll be our schedule, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Wednesday is going to be a fully asynchronous day. So teachers will provide things for kids to engage in at home, and most likely that will be a continuation of whatever they were doing from Monday and Tuesday, and something that will prepare them for class on Thursday. So kids should be having things to engage in on Wednesdays, but there will not be live instruction on Wednesdays as an asynchronous day, kind of a break in that fully kind of intense online schedule, but also giving kids enough time to kind of catch up on what they were doing from Monday and Tuesday, make sure they're ready to go to finish the rest of the week, and giving our teachers time to meet with kids as needed, but also plan and be ready for their lessons. And then Friday, we're going to continue with the same Friday schedule that we've had. So every class will meet starting at 7:25 and going until noon on Friday, and they'll be meeting for about 30 minutes each class. So that is our schedule for as long as we're going to be remote. Hopefully it's as short as possible, but that is our schedule for this second semester. So with that, I will turn it over to, I think, Lyanna Finn, talk about grading. I think you're muted, Lyanna.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So we experienced this before break, the fact that grades are not held harmless. They did count up until the very end of first semester, so that continues. It's kind of challenging right now because some of the semester classes are brand new, and so it's getting to know kind of how those new grading categories are for each of those different classes. But teachers still will assess formative, interim, and summative for the semester. So really with 3 weeks, there's plenty of time to do some formative for sure in getting those kids ready for when we go back to hybrid at least. So just that grades count and grades matter as we start this semester. Attendance expectations vary just a little bit because of our new schedule. Students are expected to meet with their Google Meet on time. And that's, again, we heard loud and clear that a little bit of extra time in between classes is necessary. So that's why the 5 minutes is there instead of 3. Students are expected to leave their camera on, and mostly that's so that teachers can gauge participation. Our teachers have been really, really creative in how they're getting kids involved during class. And a big part of that is being able to see them. Oftentimes teachers will have kids break out into groups, into what we call breakout rooms through Google Meet. Or they may say, go work on this on your own for 10, 15 minutes and then come back to the class at the end of the period. Students must come back in order to receive full attendance credit for that class period. So that's what that number 3 is talking about. If the teacher does release them, they need to return back. If the teacher says so, and oftentimes the teacher will say, okay, we're down to the last 15 minutes of class, you're on your own, and that's it. On Wednesdays now, because of our new schedule as being their asynchronous learning day, just as before when we were hybrid back in September, the students do need to check themselves in by 10 a.m. And we have found that this does not work, this process, very well on a phone or a tablet. It works better from a computer. Parents can check them in too if the students are having difficulty, but really it does the platform works better on an actual laptop versus phone. Now, if the students are not checked in by 10 a.m., the link or the opportunity closes, and the student will be marked absent for that day. So that's an important change from before when we were remote. Teachers were taking attendance. Teachers will only be taking attendance for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday this time.
And so we have some survey results from our 8th graders. We submitted the survey out in about mid-November. And it was only with 8th graders at that time because we felt like there was a significant need at that time with the blended learning portion and then transitioning to remote. A lot of these concerns that they had are, still really valid, and hopefully some of the changes that we made now can ease, their schedule, some anxiety and stress with our whole bell schedule and other things. So with more of their concerns is helping them, helping students cope with emotions, time management, understanding academic platforms. There was a lot of discussion about what's the difference between what's on Google Classroom and what do we find on Infinite Campus, like which one is more legitimate in a way. So we had to, clear that up quite a few times. And all these other additional, oh, sorry, actually, this is from the parent guardian survey. So this is from our parents here at Sagewood. And then if you go to the next slide, Mr. Dordan, we have a Ponderosa feeder survey results. So there is some overlap. So again, dealing with emotions, dealing with stress and anxiety, and a big one is, how do we establish these structures at home to help our students be successful? So again, hopefully the schedule change can have a big part in that, but also our counseling team is trying to figure out some other, additional parent nights. Like in December, we had the Nick Thompson talk. We have that posted on the counseling website as well, if you guys want to reflect on that, talking specifically about like our students' education during the pandemic. And so this month we are, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, trying to get Dr. Scott Cypers. He has done a lot of research on anxiety and helping mitigate that. So that and some other things, more academic focused are in the works for that.
We wanted to talk a little bit about how to help your students succeed in this different environment. We know that kids love to kind of move around, fool around, and that's hard to do, obviously, when they're in front of the computer. So we want to remind them that they can fit some movement breaks in those short times, and that they should do, and then Miss Hewsome actually created a link on here. So if your student's resistant to movement, or you're finding that they're not getting up and taking walks or that sort of thing, they just get zoned into the computer. It actually talks about how their brain reads information more and is more readily available for learning when they've had movement, and it doesn't need to be extreme movement. So it's very cool. And so we need to remind students to set goals, to take walks during those times, take walks as a family, and fit in movement when they can. Even, I tell them all the time, like, run in place next to your chair. I walk and talk with them when I'm on as well to try to remind them.
Okay, so some suggestions for minimizing distractions, actually, and for suggestions on sleep. So some things that are to remember, that consistency can be key, and starting with hopefully tonight, getting to bed at a good hour, putting electronics away early, getting a nighttime routine, and starting tomorrow morning with that morning routine, and keeping that consistent while we start second semester until we go into hybrid learning. So even though we're home, having that consistency, having a schedule, the routine as if we are going to school, so students feel like they are going to school, not that they're just rolling out of bed and getting on the computer and going to school. It helps, just like it does us as adults, to wake up and start our morning the same way. It gets us in the mood and ready to learn. We talked a lot about it already. Ms. Colley just said it, but having those breaks, making sure that they are moving, limiting naps. Children may get tired in the afternoon, but limiting those, it's better for their brain and their bodies to get some movement, get some fresh air. I know it's winter and it's cold, but a short brisk walk can do a body good and get those kids ready to learn. Honestly, I just can't say it. I think I'm doing the next slide too.
Oh, I think
Are
I'm
you?
talking about
Okay, sorry.
distractions. That's okay. If we want to go one slide back, if you don't mind. Perfect. Okay, so another component that's important for your student success is minimizing distractions. So students can be very tempted to work in their bed and watch their classes from bed, but that's just not the best learning environment. So replicating the school environment as much as possible, which means having a quiet and dedicated workspace, keeping phones away from their workspace. So I know a lot of students are using their phones for alarms to know when classes start, but even just keeping that phone outside the room so they can still hear it, but it's not such a distraction right next to them. Using earbuds, especially if you have multiple students in one room. And again, I think we have this as a bullet point on all of ours, but definitely taking those breaks and spending some time away from the screen during their ELT and lunch.
So again, talking about like the difference between Google Classroom, how is that different from Infinite Campus? Infinite Campus is kind of like the clean press and done, like this is the grade that you are getting. And if things are in Google Classroom that could be missing or graded, that's not the finalized grade. There's still time to look back. There's time to edit that work. And of course, talking to your teacher, talking to the teacher is always recommended. And that can be during ELT, that can be now during that asynchronous day on Wednesdays, on Fridays, because it is a half day. They have that time from about noon to 3 o'clock to reach out to their teachers if they need to work one-on-one or just ask some questions. And when it comes to feelings and emotions, on our counseling website, we do have some other resources. Again, like Nick Thompson, we've posted some of the Friday lessons that we've been blasting out through our own Google Classrooms about resilience, gratitude, all these different things, like Google Suite videos, helping them try and stay organized. So all of those are definite resources that they can use and you guys can use as well. And again, just trying to mitigate when's the appropriate time to use those social media or online platforms to reach out, hang out with friends, but also having that, face-to-face with family is really important too. And so some of these announcements are a little dated, but again, Dr. Scott Cypers, we're looking to host a feeder event and for him to talk about anxiety and helping your student handle anxiety. Again, on our website, we have lessons posted. We'll be updating it with events. I believe on Thursday, there is an event that is going on about regulating sleep and how that can de-escalate stress and all these other things that we can get posted on there too. That is an RSVP event. And I think that's it for announcements.
So we would love to get your feedback in terms of, how remote learning is going. What are some of the questions you might have, as you're looking at this semester? And again, some of this is unknown because we don't know exactly how long we're going to be in this stance, but we would love to take questions that you might have, or also if you have feedback as far as how things are going. We're always wanting to get better and improve how we're providing learning to your kids during this time. So feel free to unmute yourself, or if you have questions, you can put it in the chat, and we'd love to take those. So let's see here. I'm trying to manage two screens as I do this. And I guess I can probably stop presenting because that might be easier to see everybody.
So the question is, how much time should we expect their students to spend on schoolwork on Wednesdays?
So what we have told teachers is really don't plan on any more than 20 to 30 minutes per class. And I would say that's that's on the high end probably of what your kids might be doing on Wednesdays. So again, if they're keeping track with what they're doing Monday and Tuesdays, it should be an extension of what they're doing in classes Monday, Tuesdays. So on Wednesday, I wouldn't expect more than 20 to 30 minutes per class. Is Infinite Campus still the correct site to check in by 10 a.m. for attendance purposes? Yes. Yeah. And Chris, thanks for answering that. So. Final grades were posted right before winter break. Those were posted on the 18th. So you should be able to log in to Infinite Campus and see those final grades from what they earned for first semester.
And I was also told there was an email that was sent out. Lisa Sharp, our registrar, said she sent out an email of how to access those grades. I know I got some parent emails today and I found that out. So check your emails. You should have something, I'm assuming from Lisa Sharp, that will tell you how to access those grades.
Carrie, to answer your question, with this new schedule, how much homework on the other days should we expect? Our goal is for the time that kids to spend on each class, for that to be done during that class period. So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, our goal is for the time they would need to spend for that class to be done during that 50-minute approximate class period. And then Wednesdays would again be that asynchronous day where they're continuing to work on things on Monday and Tuesday, or there's an extension of something that they did, or something the teachers assigned for them to be prepared for Thursday or Friday. So they shouldn't be spending a significant amount of time, if at all, any time past class time on Monday and Tuesday or Thursday on those full school days. That answers that question. Jason, is there a way to pass a message to teachers to have them use the assignments function rather than having long lists of to-dos on one announcement? Yeah, so every team I know has kind of synchronized how they're utilizing Google Classroom as much as possible. I know that each teacher is using Google Classroom a little differently in terms of what they found works for them. But yeah, I would say within each team, you should most likely see consistent ways of utilizing Google Classroom as opposed to 5 different teachers on the team doing 5 different things, if that helps at all. Let's see here. Are students marked absent from the individual class if they are late, or is there a tardy? So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, kids can be marked tardy if they are tardy to the class. We ask that kids are there, obviously when class starts, so that they're not missing anything, because we are starting class on time. So if a student is not there for the majority of the class, obviously they would not be marked absent. But yes, they can be marked tardy if they are just late, but they do show up for at least the majority of the class. And Chris, you're beating me to a lot of these questions. Some of these being answered.
So Jennifer just asked, is Wednesday the only date they need to check in on Infinite Campus? Yes. Wednesday is the only day that you or your student need to check in for their attendance. Yeah.
Yep.
Ben, Jason asked, is there any news when sports will happen this spring?
Yeah, so we're still waiting to hear on whether sports are going to be resuming. Obviously, we would love to get our kids back involved in our sports and different activities, but we are still waiting to hear on official word on when that's going to happen. I know track in the, which is typically April, I think was one of those that was a tentative, possible sport we would have, especially since it's outside. But we're still waiting to hear on some of those indoor sports, whether or not they will be happening. We don't know yet. Getting a bunch of people joining here right at the end. So if you're just joining, we are going to be posting this recording. So if you missed everything we've done up to now, please know that you will be able to catch that up later. Attendance taken during class is the first. Usually, teachers are taking attendance usually within that first 10 minutes of class. And so, if your student is potentially not there during that first 10 minutes, that could be a possibility that a student might be marked absent. And so, obviously, if a student does show up late, a teacher can go back and mark them as tardy. But that could be a reason if a student was marked absent and they did show up late.
And David, for attendance, a lot of teachers are doing poll questions or it records through Google Classroom, and it sends a record to the teacher afterwards that the student has attended and answered that poll question. Or something else you might be seeing is if a kid doesn't return at the end of class, so teacher let them go for work time and then they came back or didn't come back, they might be marked out as well.
Other questions or feedback that anybody might have from that 3 weeks we had of remote learning before winter break?
I just wanted to quick add a comment that I saw John mentioned. It would be great if longer breaks between classes can be kept when they go back to school, or if they need to go to the bathroom, eat a quick snack, return library books. So just wanted to make sure that was noted.
You'd be surprised how much you can do in 3 minutes in between classes. But noted. Not seeing a lot of other questions or feedback. So definitely want to make sure that if you've gotten what you need, feel free to have a good evening. But if you have other questions or things you'd like to ask, feel free to stick around. We're happy to answer questions. Or if you have feedback as well, obviously we're available via email as well. If you want to reach out to any of us individually to express something or ask a question, you can do that. We will be posting this recording if you did jump on late, so you can catch the information we shared at the beginning. So we have instituted a grading policy that is consistent school-wide starting the second semester. So as there are opportunities to make up work or things, those will be accepted during the unit in which those tests or assignments are still relevant. And then once that unit is over, it is the relevancy of whatever was assigned or a test is not there. Those things may not be necessarily accepted for a grade at that point. So obviously we still need to give kids feedback and provide opportunities for kids to hear from their teacher on how they did on a certain assignment. But as far as grades and the time that kids have, there will be a late penalty obviously assigned if something is turned in late, but we will be accepting things through the end of the unit, and that should be school-wide this semester. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I know, again, if you have questions, feel free to stick on. I know there's still quite a few on here, but I hope that this second semester proves to be a good one. I know we've got a lot of hope, obviously, for this new year, that it's going to be better than this past year. Surely it's got to be better, right? And so we are hopeful to get back in person as soon as we possibly can. I know the tentative dates were maybe looking at that January 25th of coming back to hybrid at least. So what we will see. Stay tuned to the board meeting tomorrow night. There should be some more information coming then. But yeah, otherwise, if there's other questions you have to take on, but if you get what you need, have a great evening. The tents are not still up for choir and band. Patty, those were taken down at the end of October. We were not able to heat them, and so with the cold temperatures and everything, it was just not really a viable option to be out there during winter. So we are not doing choir and band outside in the tents anymore.